from the English Language House in London, natural health counselor in Utah, and trained for ministry in the Georgia mountains. She was ordained and licensed in 1989. Her ecumenical healing ministry spans 2 continents. She has taught and presented workshops at colleges and universities, as well as churches and civic organizations. She facilitated a weekly group and a course in miracles for 10 years, leads the Inner Light Prayer Ministry, offers sessions in the Rohan process, which are life expansion sessions, life healing sessions, which she co-created, intuitive counseling, as well as weddings, christenings, and celebrations of life. She has been a vessel for various angelic hosts in writing, including 1 book, which she is finishing now. So I don't know if you're still working on that. She has just moved to Lake County, Ohio. This might need to be a little bit updated, but I welcome Reverend Barbara Douglas. Well, good morning. I'm so glad you're not swimming at the beach today. I wondered how many people would actually show up. We're tough. Tough choice, yeah. That being from Buffalo had been scheduled for here, we would play. Okay. Well, this is sort of part of a series that was begun last year on basic spiritual topics. If you can hear or not hear, just wave your hands and then I'll find out what you need. Prayer is often overlooked, underrated, given all the things, healing, people want to talk about that. Other things, people want to talk about prayer, not so much. So what is not prayer? Not much. What is prayer? Well, casual prayer, if you know who this person is, you could think Sting as I tell you. Every emotion you feel, every thought you think, every word you say, every action you take, it creates your beingness, your vibratory rate, your frequency, your consciousness. Our whole life is a prayer. And you've heard that before, I'm sure. And we're going to go kind of quickly through things because I'm sure a lot of this I hope somewhere in there's something that sparks something in you or makes you aware of something you've forgotten. So the question is, for what are we praying? We can look at our lives and see immediately what our prayers have been. Our relationships, are they 100% perfect? Our family, our career, our health, our spiritual growth, our happiness, satisfaction level. You can rate those on a 1 to 10 scale and then see what areas you might want to change the prayers. Because where we are right now is based on what we have been praying for. This moment is a pivotal moment because from now on, we can change what we're doing to create the life we want next week, next year, 10 years from now. So in this moment, right now, you are creating the future. It's very simple. Not always easy, but simple for sure. Each emotion, thought, word, and action is going to create our future.
So it's easy to see where we need to make the change. And the hardest thing with change is people want change, but they want to stay exactly the way they are right now. And it never works that way, at least in my experience. We have the casual prayer that everyday life is a prayer. And I'll just tell you one tiny story. There's a lady who's pretty famous, but when she was a kid, she was looking in a jewelry store window and she saw this most beautiful ring. It was heart-shaped stone and it was purple, obviously an amethyst heart. But she dismissed it. They didn't have the money to buy it. She knew she'd never get it, but ooh, she did like it. 70 years passed, and she received a letter from someone knowing her, that her work had helped them a lot. And she said, I am now the executrix of an estate. I have a lot of jewelry. There's this one piece I want to send to you. It's kind of silly. It's very small, blah, blah, blah. But could you give me your address? So she gave her the address. And you're all way ahead of me. You know that I think she was 77. Who knows this story? Does anybody know? I think she was 77. And she opened it and there was her amethyst heart-shaped ring. So it can happen very easily, very simply. I had one thought too. I was living in Concord Township and I decided I want to sell the house. And that was all I thought. I did not call a realtor. I didn't even think how much I wanted for the house. I just decided I wanted to sell. Totally dismissed it. 3 days later, highly illegal, but it happened. A piece of paper appeared in my mailbox, with no envelope or anything. It just said, if you're ever thinking of selling, we live eight houses down and we'd love to buy that house. So please give us a call. I was walking back from the mailbox to the house. I went, oh my heavens, thank you, God. I cannot believe this. And we did it. No realtor, just an attorney to drop the agreement. It was very easy, very fast. They loved the house. So it can happen, but that is rare. It doesn't happen every day for me, trust me. We also, in terms of casual prayer, can be speaking to the divine all day, certainly can speak with the divine internal or external. But usually we need a little more formal prayer with more repetition. Now, if it's a kind of need that we're looking for, we need to move ourselves to that vibration of the thing we need. I mean, Einstein said that. He said, when you are at the vibratory rate of what it is you desire, you will have it. There's no way around it. That's not metaphysics. That is physics. That is science. So I'm going to run through some kinds of prayer really quickly. Dr. Dale Miller recently spoke of prayer the way many of us were taught. Now, we come from so many backgrounds here. It's really hard to do a talk like this because I can't say God, because some of you don't believe in God, maybe source, universal energy, creator, goddess, whatever you believe in. Substitute your word. But he talked of what is known as petition prayer, where we see the divine as a separate entity and we ask for whatever we want from that entity. I don't know who calls it petition prayer, probably the Catholic Church, I'm not sure. But there are lots of other kinds. I'll just name a few here. Prayer of praise. Khalil Gibran said once, oh, you're real good praying in your desire and your neediness. Would that you also pray in your joy and your praise. No separation when you're praising. I have such lovely furniture. I have a great bank account. God is so good. God is source, whatever. I have beautiful clothes, wonderful car, praising the inner, the outer divine for having those. Then there's Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving prayer. 2 countries in the world have a day of Thanksgiving, us and Canada. I just found that out a little bit ago. And Meister Eckhart said a long time ago, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, that would be enough. That would be enough. And gratitude is wonderful because it truly opens us and allows us to bring in more things to be grateful for. I do this, and I think a number of you also do. I keep a gratitude book, and every day I just write down a line or so with all the things I'm thankful for that happened that day. And again, it brings more into our life. Now, this is tricky, and a lot of people don't like this one, but it is true. I say giving for, other people say forgiving. Has nothing to do with anybody else. Forgiving is between you and your inner, your external divine. And I don't believe in a human, people will talk about God, he, or God is she, but I believe in the divine as a principle, an amorphous being. The reason I say it's not about the other person is, yes, it happened, but it doesn't really matter anymore. What matters is the ball and chain that we have connected to ourselves, remembering that horrible person. And we have to drag it around with us all the time. And so if we could just let it go, then our lives become lighter. Prayer of blessing, also no separation, acting as the divine, blessing a situation, blessing a person, blessing what it is we want too could happen. And the last one I'm going to mention today is, usually we don't start out that way, but usually we get to this, which is affirmative prayer, acting as if what it is has already happened. Through the source within me, my body, mind, and spirit work perfectly in harmony together. That's not God give me health, God give me, that is affirming it. And if you've never tried affirmative prayer, I would suggest it because it really makes a lot of difference. A few things about the act of prayer and receiving answers. You can pray all the time. I've mentioned that. It's also good to have a prayer time. Now you tell Barbara that, she goes, But if you say, assign a time for spirit to arrive, well, then I would be much more receptive to that. It's usually good to have it be a very early or a very late time, because if you're doing something else at that time, suddenly people who want to channel through you, cosmic beings, angelic hosts, whatever, might just appear anyway. And that's not real helpful if you're at a Browns game, let's say. You don't want that to happen. I find it's really helpful to write them down at least once. I write them on a card, and then I repeat them the same way every day. I didn't do that at first. And then it was suggested to me, it's a really good idea to say it exactly the same way every time, because then when you say, that son of a divine child of God, it's getting down deep into your subconscious and you are changing. But if you keep changing the words around, you might say that last word you don't want to say. I also find it's better not to do all the prayer work. In my case, it might be reading them on a card, and then say, "It is so, and so it is done," which, if you don't know, is what the word amen means. Some of you may not say amen, but if you do, that's what it means. So it's better not to do your work, say it is so and so it is done. Okay, let's go to the beach. I find it's much better to rest in the silence after prayer. That's a good time for ideas to drop in. It's also a good time to sort of recover before you move back into the world. And you move in with a lot more grace and poise if you take a few moments after prayer. There is divine timing in terms of answers. And Alexander mentioned that a while ago. He was talking about wanting to meet someone. He saw them. He was going to run over and talk to them, but he got no don't. And he waited, and then it happened at a much better time for him. And there is divine timing. I want patience and I want it right now isn't always going to happen. Be aware of the signs, and there are lots of signs you may get. License plates, billboards, a song that keeps going in your head, especially if you've not heard it recently. I was somewhere once, and this lady walked up to a woman standing by me, and she said, "This is so odd. You have a car sitting on your shoulder." And my friend said, "Oh, really? What model is it? What make is it?" And of course, it was exactly the make and model. Is that what I want? Make, model, color for which she had been praying. So it was getting closer. And I don't like to say top down, but things do always manifest somewhere else and then trickle down to the physical, which is why it sometimes takes a little longer. And don't push it away when it comes. I did that once. I had a cosmic wild card offered to me. Dr. John Morrow offered me an opportunity that usually was only offered to PhD candidates. And that is the Ohio State University would pay me to go to Europe and do some things for them. Well, how many people get paid to go to Europe? That was pretty exciting. But I could not imagine, after 16 years of being in school, being in Paris, and having no money to buy anything. That was just, oh no, I couldn't do it. And so I said, no. And then I walked into where all the rest of us graduate assistants had our offices. And I said, oh, I think I really made a big mistake. And luckily, the first person I told said, oh yeah, you did. And he said, and I know how you can go over before or after and teach English as a foreign language. You'd be great at it. And here's who you can call. And I very humbly the next day went back to John and I said, does the offer still stand? And he said, oh, sure, you can come. That's fine. Real cosmic wildcard, and I almost pushed it away. I also know a lady who was healed. Her eyesight, she was blind. She absolutely could see. And for a week, she kept saying, I just can't believe it. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. I can see. It can't be happening. I can't believe it. And within 1 week, she had pulled herself back into blindness. It can happen. Okay, there's some alternatives to the usual prayer. There is an energy ball. I wasn't going to say this because it takes a little bit of time, but which is you pick a place, maybe you even have a bowl that you put it in, and you create an energy bowl and you keep saying what it is you want into it and keep allowing the energy ball to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then eventually it does happen. something I call a gratitude board. A lot of people are making them now. They call them vision boards, where you put pictures of everything you want, a few words to, on a board, and you look at it. That's what some people do. What I do is actually put myself into the picture. I be it, I feel it, I see it, and I'm looking out of the picture, being grateful that it has happened. You can envision things, 10 minutes a day. Pick a scenario. Say you want a job. So pick a scenario, your clothing, how you feel, how you don't know who you're going to work with yet, but that they are helpful, they like you feel cherished there. Aromas, maybe. You can make up songs. You can sing what it is you'd like as a prayer. And this, well, you don't have to make them up. I mean, maybe there is a song out there you could use as a prayer. I talk about this and people go, huh? But you know this. If I say it and it doesn't rattle, you know it. Your back brain. Keep it going in your back brain all the time. And your back brain is when you see someone you haven't seen in 20 years, you say, oh, how lovely to see you. My, you look wonderful. At the same time, you're thinking, oh my God, what happened to them? You can do that. You have a back brain and a forward brain. You can keep a prayer going in your back brain. That's what they do with mantras, if you've ever heard of a mantra. You can also just rest into prayer, into the silence. If you're going to pick a word, it's good to use a revealed language. Hebrew and Sanskrit are both revealed languages. So it's better to say Shanti than just to say peace, because Shanti actually means something more than the word peace. And watch your I am phrases. I am itself is an extremely powerful prayer. But what words do you put after them? I have been told by people that is the actual meaning of swearing or cursing, is when you say, oh, I'm tired, I'm so exhausted, pick another negative word, that is what is considered swearing. Or you could say, I am radiant, I am vital, I am harmonious, I am beautiful, I am peaceful, all the divine attributes. It is a prayer. I am peace, the peace of prayer. So here are two little affirmative prayers. You could say through the whatever in me, God, Goddess, Source, but I'm just going to say them without that because I don't know what you all believe. I love who I am and what I do. I stand in truth and live and move in joy. I love who I am and what I do. I stand in truth and live and move in joy. Here's another little one. My home is a magnet drawing all good from the inexhaustible reservoir of supply. It is so, and so it is done. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Yes, Diane?
First, this was really thought-provoking. Very
good.
Thank you so
Good.
much. You mentioned how when you want something, and Einstein said this too, to go to that vibration. How do you know what the vibration is?
That's when you get it. You just keep doing it, and the more you do it, then eventually it shows up.
Because I've heard the vibration or the frequency for weight loss is 280 megahertz. And then you listen to that. I mean, is it like that?
Well, you can do that. Go to YouTube. They have a zillion of them at different megahertz. Yeah. Lydia, yes.
You said that Shanti is more meaningful than peace. I don't recall you saying what Shanti means.
Shanti is Sanskrit for peace.
Oh, but
Shanti,
more.
yes, like the letter A. Let's take Hebrew. Okay, Aleph is A in Hebrew. It means a lot more than A in English. Aleph means the one, the whole, the unity. You know, so when you say Aleph or use Aleph in a word, it means a lot more than just A. Okay, just that's one letter. And then you have a whole word. But yeah, those are the two. Anybody else know another revealed language? Hebrew and Sanskrit are the only ones. Mark? Lakota? Okay. Yes, Carrie?
Thank you for talking about the back brain.
Oh,
Because I've never heard it explained that way. Because sometimes I have 3 conversations going on,
right.
and I'm like, what the heck? Like people talk about like busy brain, and I'm like, I'm trying to read this, and this song is going, and someone else is. I'm like, and I could never understand. Like it was never. Not that I understand it now, but at least I have a clue. Okay, there's a back brain. Yes.
Yeah. Like as soon as she started that, I started Om Shanti Om the whole time just to make sure I could do it while you were talking and I could listen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, you want to share any more about that later?
Okay.
I just want to thank you for the beautiful talk and beautiful reminder that we are creator and all of us. It's a powerful thing. Diane, you were talking about connecting to that frequency. What I've learned in my life is that I put up, like you said, the blocks. When I think it can't come, be possible, that's when I find I run into resistance and things open up. But it always manifests no matter what.
Mm-hmm. You know, another thing you might do in terms of affirmation. Wow, thank you. There's 3 ways to do an affirmation. I, blah, blah, blah. You, blah, blah, blah. And that Barbara, blah, blah, blah. And, I find like, oh, I'm a beautiful person. Into the mirror, you are a beautiful person, Barbara. But it's when I say, that Barbara, she is truly beautiful, that something always shifts in me and I feel it. Because how many times can I say that about someone else, but it's harder to say it about me? Do you want me to stop? No. Oh, okay. Yes, Mary.
Wonderful. Thank you, share this morning. And
Thank you.
I have to take away is, especially when I'm driving, finding myself saying, "Oh, that son of an," I like adding the divine child. We can get there pretty quickly, but very often it's you little things, and that really helps a lot. Definitely, hopefully not using it on the way home, but probably. And then also, the thing about cursing, I actually was listening to somebody talking about that on the way. His father absolutely refused to curse, but he would yell, "I'm annoyed, I'm irritated," and finding out he was cursing anyway.
Yes, absolutely. And that's I said prayer is often overlooked. That phrase is so overlooked in our culture, not so much in the East, but in the West definitely is. Oh, here's a good quote. Somebody asked Mohandas, and his name is really Mohandas, not the Mahatma is a title, Mohandas Gandhi. They said, "What do you think of Western civilization?" And he said, "I think it would be a really good idea."
Oh, sure. things. One, I liked in the beginning how you said that people, when it comes to prayer, people want to pray for the change, but they want to continue doing the same things that they do and hope that the change just magically happens and they see things differently, but they want to be okay doing the same thing that they're always doing. So that being said, the second part to that is if there's somebody who was always attracting, let's just say, negativity, or they're always down in the dumps, or things are always happening to them, how would you, in your opinion, say something to them to try to get them to make a prayer that's going to make a change within them? I know we can't change people, I know this, but to get somebody to start thinking that I'm attracting all this negativity, and all this negativity that's happening to me is because I'm bringing it.
Mhm.
So how would you?
I usually just say, wow, I don't say that. I can't afford that in my life.
Okay, so how would you get that person, besides saying I can't afford that in my life, to start?
No, I don't change them. I say, this is where I am. I can't say that.
Okay, so let's
You know.
say me personally want to start making a change like that in my life. How would you suggest me go about doing that?
Well, if they ask me, then I'd tell them.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to tell you how I changed people.
No. That's why I said, let's say me for a second.
Breathe.
I wanted to start changing.
Yeah.
What would I do?
Breath. Breath is, I always start with breath. Take a breath before you say anything, or when you say it, take a breath after, because then you hear it, what you're saying. And, the first thing ever is to be aware. To be aware. If you're not aware, you can't change anything. And so all I would do would be suggest that I would call to their awareness what it is they're doing. They love that.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
You led a Course in Miracles for 10 years. Would you ever consider maybe bringing that?
Here? Oh, I might consider it. Yeah.
I second that motion.
Okay, it's a miracle right now.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Everybody's got their questions answered.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Okay, so when Barbara was talking, I had so many ways to approach this uncomfortable situation. And that is that I forgot the announcements. So usually we don't like to do that. We like to have the speaker and then go right into messages because we like the energy flow. But I decided as I was walking to that chair, I was doing all this thinking. And then as I was listening to the questions, I was thinking, okay, so there's a lot to take from this. But at any rate, our announcements are really exciting today. So it's not going to take us down at all. So